I started being interested in tattoos pretty early on actually. I was kind of early teenager. It was sort of something that found me rather than me finding it, if you know what I mean. I was just doing the usual, just got out of school and stuff like that, and was started in my first kind of part-time job. And literally any time I didn't have customers or anything like that, I'd be doodling and doodling and doodling, which I did for most of my life anyway. Got into some trouble in school and stuff for not paying attention and drawing. And it literally started whenever I was drawing and, just to kill boredom, and more people were sort of seeing what I was doing, and then it kind of spiraled from there. People were asking me to do them tattoo designs, and I never really thought anything of it. It just sort of was cool to be able to draw a design for someone, and then they would go get it done, show me it, I'd be like, sweet. And it pretty much went, it was always like in the background, it was always something that was happening. I had my head on other things here, there and everywhere, and then it just sort of got to the stage where I had finished, college and university and everything, and I came out of it and was like, what should I do now? And it was the one thing that was just sitting there waiting for me to kind of take up. So I was like, right, let's roll with this, and I haven't looked back since, really. Okay, my first tattoo was on one of my friends. They'd come over to see me. I was living out in England at the time, so I had a bunch of friends come over for a bit of a birthday weekend, lots of drinks involved and stuff like that. I had previously acquired a really dodgy, crappy eBay machine, as many people have started. Me and one of my friends have been talking for ages and ages about a potential design, so I'd sat and drawn. It was a rose tattoo, so I'd sat and drawn roses exclusively for months and months to get them down, and once I got them down, I'd free-handed it on, had no way of doing stencils or transferring images, hadn't a clue what I was doing. Got the first tattoo down on skin, absolutely terrified. Didn't go as badly as it could have. It still looks fairly decent today. Then from there I did a couple more thinking, it was the business. Got maybe 2 or 3 more in, realised that I was useless, so set them down and was like, right, not touching these again until I know what I'm doing with them. So then I, then went in, got a proper apprenticeship, started working hard, and basically was working part-time in there every other day, wouldn't leave the place. And then eventually they took me on as an artist, let me start tattooing. The first real tattoo I did in a studio was on myself. I was halfway through drawing a design, I think it was like a Halloween design or something, and the owner of the studio just came over to me and said, right, what are you drawing there? I'd drawn some Frankenstein design, and he was like, you're tattooing that on yourself. So sat down and got stuck into it. There's no better way to learn than to do it on yourself. My style of tattooing is generally big, bold and colourful. Those are things that I've been obsessed with ever since I started drawing. I was always obsessed with like cartoon characters and stuff like that, and it's kind of gone from there. I've always been into like the old school traditional, and from that the later iterations of that and the likes of new school. I just like big, bold, colourful. I like taking, say, traditional style tattoos, but completely messing with them and throwing interesting colours in there, and stuff that you wouldn't normally expect to see. Anything that's really sort of in your face, and I like tattoos that you can see from the other side of a car park. It's developed in a way since I started where it was very monotone. It was very everything had to have a colour and everything was coloured in. Since then I've been working more with understanding how tattooing works and how to integrate skin in with colour and, you know, actually using it as a canvas and using the canvas to your advantage. So whereas I would have started and had everything coloured into within an inch of its life, now I am happier to sort of take a wee bit out of there and let the skin breathe and actually let it be part of the tattoo, which was a real game changer for me. You know, in the beginning it was just like, okay, I need to get this image to look exactly as it is here. And it's like, well, no, it's a tattoo, so it needs to look like a tattoo, and it needs to be put in a way that makes it easier to tattoo and makes it more interesting to look at, you know, rather than just a complete copy. Turn it into a tattoo design. That's what I've always wanted to do. Is like, you'll come in with an idea, I like to throw that idea in my head about, and then come out with something that's a tattoo, not just a replication of an image. That's the thing that's important to me, and obviously making it incredibly visual, you know. There's been a bit of a paradigm shift, really. A lot of artists, and you know, it's just moving on with technology and stuff, but a lot of artists would jump straight on an iPad or straight on the, you know, some form of image software and stuff like that. I personally love the old school roots of just, you want a design, so you sit down with a bunch of sheets of paper and a pencil and come up with a design, you know. I find the technology thing's not really for me. I'm quite simplistic in the way I sort of view things. I understand the way it helps a lot of artists, you know. I'm not going to say I've never used an iPad to design anything. There's times we need to draw something quick, or, you know, if you've got a client that's in and, you know, you need to sort something out, the technology can help to do things faster. I find a lot of artists, though, rely on it, and if you were to give them the tools to paint that on a canvas or paint that on a piece of paper, it just wouldn't be possible. You know, they don't have the skills that way. To be fair, it's a completely different set of skills, and a lot of, you know, younger artists these days have their head in a technologically advanced universe, you know, so they actually are able to utilize it and get some pretty nice results. But I've always been more of a fan of that handmade, hand-drawn, hand-finished, you know, piece of artwork that you can see little imperfections in, and you can see the work that's gone into it. You can see the tool marks, if you know what I mean. That's what I like to see. I like to see that this is human. This is something that's, you know, this isn't just a computer generated image. It's perfect blacks and perfect blends and this, that and the other. I like to see brush strokes and pen marks and, you know, where you've rubbed it out and stuff like that. That to me speaks more, because you can see the work that's been put in there rather than just this hyper glossy finished product. So the transition to owning my own place it obviously came with its own set of stresses. I worked in a multitude of studios across the UK, and moving studio between one and the other is always a stressful period, you know, anyway. You have to get used to the new environment, you know, you've got different artists that you're working with and stuff like that. You gotta get a feel for your place in the studio. The transition here was a weird one, because it was stressful and it was hard work, but it all sort of happened at the right time. You know, I was in the middle of jumping about studios as I've been used to, and was traveling a lot, and it was what I was originally planning to just do, was just bounce about studios and have a bit of fun with it. And it was just getting to the stage where I'd been at it for a couple of years, and I needed something a bit more solid. This studio came up. It was already a tattoo artist before. It was pretty well established, and the guy wanted it to be sold to another tattoo artist, and I lived around the corner from it, and it got posted on Facebook, and within the first 24 hours of it being there, I had a number of people get in contact with me about it and say, this is literally for you. So it was like the universe was just calling out saying, Jamie, what are you doing? Take this. And I was like, all right then. So I jumped on the bandwagon with it and just ran with it, and it's been really cool, and I've got lots of positive feedback from everyone who's either been involved or just heard about it or knows me. It's been pretty overwhelming just to see how many people have actually been like fully supportive of it happening, and I'm really glad that it's now here and I get to do this in my own wee land. With a new client, I generally like to do things face to face. I know that a lot of studios, and I've been there plenty of times, like to do it all through Facebook, which is fine. I like answering questions on Facebook, I like talking designs on Facebook, I like sending images and coming up with ideas on Facebook, but whenever it comes to actually sitting down with a new client, it's always better to talk to them face to face, because you can actually have a real life conversation with them, figure out what kind of person they are, and what it is that they're really asking you for. A lot of people in their first tattoos have a really hard time like articulating what it is they want, because they get very nervous about this is on my body for the rest of my life and it needs to mean something very personal. They almost get the one tattoo needs to mean everything that they ever want in a tattoo, and sometimes you just need to like strip it right back to its roots, reassure them that if they are going to want another tattoo, they can get another tattoo for another reason, but it's all very, I like to pick a tattoo for a reason rather than trying to throw, it's the age-old saying of 10 tons of shit in a 5-ton bag, So yeah, with new clients, it's just a case of, if they're getting their first tattoo, obviously just try and reassure them that, it's not as bad as everyone thinks it is, or everyone has told them that it is. Try and give them as much input as possible without, taking away from what I'm doing. Try and come up with a nice happy medium. Just generally try and be a nice guy and not mug people off. Obviously you got other clients who have have been tattooed previously and have more of an idea of what they want. They come in and it's, once you've got a couple, you sort of get the feel of how it goes, and the whole process becomes a lot smoother. But for those people just coming in to get their first tattoos and start their tattoo journey, it's always nice to have someone to coax them in rather than force them in, or make them feel like an idiot for not having any or not knowing what they're talking about. It's perfectly understandable, so try and just cater to that as much as possible. Well, I've got the doors open, which was the main cause of my stress. Now it's a case of, building up clients. It's rolling into the start of summer, which is obviously very exciting. It's gonna hopefully be very busy. I've been here a week or two now, but I've got a launch party coming up on 7th of April. It's actually my birthday, so we're killing two birds with one stone there. And that'll be on during the day, probably, 11 to 7, usual business hours, and then who knows what afterwards. Friday the 13th design's probably coming up pretty soon. And then from there, it's a case of expanding. I've got a couple of rooms upstairs that are being a bit underutilized at the minute, need a bit of work, but once I get them up and running, then hopefully a couple more artists in, see what way the building wants to let me know how to use it, just keep things rolling the way they're going, and build up my artwork, build up my clientele basis, and just hopefully let Bangor have loads and loads of really bright badass tattoos.
So thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out more of Jimmy's work or get in touch about a possible tattoo or art idea, then you can find him at Inkfloyd on Instagram, or you can follow Hell Yeah Custom Tattoos over on Facebook. I will link all that information in the description box below, so check that out. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to support the creative arts community, and if you want to go ahead and subscribe, we have a whole host of weird and wonderful and creative people coming up over the next couple of weeks, so definitely stay tuned for that. If you or anyone you know would like to come on to Stranger Things for an interview, don't hesitate to get in touch. Again, you can find all the information in the description box below, and even if you're a little further afield, that shouldn't be so much as a problem anymore because we're launching the website and hoping to do some like text-based interviews and stuff, so that shouldn't be a problem. So definitely go ahead and get in touch, and we'll see you on the next upload.